think that's nice and fair. Joe Rogan was debating Matt Walsh over gay marriage, and Zen Rhino says, I can't wait for this to become a clip. It was too short to become a clip, I think, the Tony Michaels thing.
Yeah.
But anyway, Matt Walsh talked to Joe Rogan about gay marriage for about 15 minutes. And I have to say, that is about 12 minutes longer than I want any conversation on gay marriage to last. Like, remember when, you know how Republicans now on abortion are like, hey, it's settled now. The Supreme Court ruled on it, whatever. And now, like, with gay marriage, they want to, some of these really hardcore conservatives want to keep talking about it. And it's like, dude, it's settled. It's done.
Yes.
Gay people can get married.
Settled.
Yeah.
Long time.
Let's watch their discussion on it. I trusted Joe Rogan far more than I trusted Matt Walsh. He's very sanctimonious and disingenuous. He makes tricky little arguments that aren't really based in honesty. They're more based in, I want to be right. That's what I hate about him. But Matt Walsh is one of those guys who being right is more important than being correct, or winning the debate is more important than being correct.
Whereas Joe Rogan more so comes off as like the curious man who's just like into finding things out. He's not made up the decision for himself yet.
We kind of saw it in the Matt Walsh, Joe Rogan trans kids debate we saw earlier, not debate, where Matt Walsh didn't know something, so he just went, oh, like 1 million kids are on puberty blockers. And Rogan's like, I don't think that's true, but I don't know, so look that up. Let's get the numbers on that.
Yep.
See, Matt Walsh will just throw something out there because he wants his worldview to be proven correct. Whereas Joe Rogan would go, I don't really have a worldview. Can we find out what the truth of this matter is?
Exactly. He's curious.
So let's watch Joe and Matt Walsh disagree over gay
Joe
marriage.
Rogan experience.
I think of marriage is a certain thing, which is the context for procreation, for the building of the nuclear family.
I don't know if you know this, but I'm pretty sure in all of human history, people have been breeding outside of marriage more than they've bred inside marriage. Yeah, I don't know.
Right, you don't need the marriage to breed.
Now, would I argue that, like, if two people have some sort of commitment to each other and there's two people raising children instead of one person raising children, is that better? Yes, but that can come in many different ways.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
Sure. I mean, I'm sure
you can be together raising kids and not be married.
There can be married people who are fucking terrible parents. There can be people who are boyfriend and girlfriend, never got married and be great parents. Absolutely.
What about people that get married that don't have kids? Are you opposed to that? What if they get married, they decide, you know what, we don't need kids. I'm going to get fixed. You get your tubes tied. Let's travel the world.
Well, what do you mean am I opposed to it? I mean, I think that that every married couple...
You just said that marriage should be for having kids. That's what he's asking you.
...should be open to life.
But what if they don't want to? Are you opposed to them being married? If marriage is only for procreation and to bond a family together... What about people that are deeply in love that never want to have children?
I don't think it's not only procreation, but that is one of the fundamental definitional.
Here's my thing.
Is it?
This is the problem with guys like Matt Walsh. If you just mind your own fucking business, you don't have to be in these conversations.
I kind of bet if you looked at the definition of marriage, there's nothing about procreation in there.
It was a religious thing. But like when it comes to these guys like Matt Walsh, they're leave me alone. I don't want people telling me what to do. And then he's going to go, you shouldn't get married unless it's for procreation. Marriage should be for procreation. How about leave people the fuck alone? Let them live their own life like you're asking other people to do for you.
Yeah, can't you just keep your house happy the way you want it?
It's why I could never like go full liberal or full conservative. Because all of them want to establish they want to impose their will on other people. And I'm against that. Like my biggest political philosophy I have is I don't know what's best for other people. I don't want, look, I'm not going to tell you what to do. Don't tell me what to do. That's my political philosophy.
Dude, even I can't make up my mind on some things some days.
Right. So like this Matt Walsh guy, he's like, I don't want the left telling me what I can and can't do. Oh, by the way, marriage should only be for procreation. And that's why and this should be your marriage. And how about shut the fuck up? Their marriage can be their marriage. Your marriage can be yours. And we all just mind our own business.
Aspects of it. Of course, there's more to marriage just than that.
And what about people that are infertile? They fall in love and they realize that they can have babies. And they don't really necessarily want to adopt. Is that okay for them to be married? Because then by definition, marriage falls into a completely different thing. Because then it's a bond of love. It's a union of love.
See, if you stay away from these bombastic, grifty, overgeneralizing statements, you don't have to be caught up by guys like Joe Rogan, who's just like, well, wait a minute. Because Joe takes everything literal. You notice that even with jokes, people will joke around with Joe and he'll sometimes fact check the joke. Joe,
it's kind of cute.
He's a very literal guy,
Yeah.
Joe Rogan. And so when you say something like, well, marriage is the basis for procreation, Joe's going to go, well, that sounds oversimplistic and kind of shitty. What about this? What about that? When you make these broad, sweeping statements, you become easy to pick apart by yeah buts.
Yep.
You know?
Sure. I mean, that doesn't change the nature of marriage, though. It's a little bit like I say that, what's the definition of a woman? Well, a woman is someone who by her nature can conceive children in her womb and bear children.
Boy, he really is like big on that gender shit. He brings it all back to that gender shit, doesn't he?
Yeah,
I worry about guys like him because as much as I'm against like the shit they're doing with kids and all that, anyone who spends an unhealthy amount of time thinking about gender and stuff, I worry about their shit as much as I worry about the other people.
And I sit here being somebody who thinks that gender shouldn't be a thing to be thought about.
Yeah, this guy gets a little too laser focused.
And then the response is always, well, what about women who are infertile? Does that destroy your definition of woman? And it doesn't, because it's still a woman's nature to bear children. Not every woman will.
Hey, retard, this is what I hate about this guy. He's like, oh, here's my definition of a woman, blah. There's a scientific definition of a woman, the chromosomes. That's it. Let's go to chromosomes, and then we don't have to watch amateur wannabe science teacher Matt Walsh give you his bullshit definition, founded by his politics, by the way, on what a woman is. Here's what a woman and a man is. You got XX and XY. There you go. There's your definition of gender. Take it to the bank. Let's call this done and wrap it up, guys.
And there will be disease and infertility and old age and all these things that will preclude that, but it's still of her nature to do so. And I would say the same thing for marriage. I mean, it is natural in a marriage for procreation to occur. It's not always going to happen in reality, though, but that's still one of the natural functions of marriage.
Gives you a pretty strong reason to just mind your own fucking business then, doesn't it? If every marriage is different. Mm-hmm. Kind of encourages you to mind your own there, Matty boy.
Yeah, what does it do to him if somebody does or does not have kids?
Guys like this always, I just look into their eyes and I go, there's something, if we went into his house, something off about this guy. Mm-hmm. There's something, there's a
even the way he talks.
There's a demon that he's holding back at the gates. There's something fucked up. He's like these politicians that are super against gay marriage, and then you're like, why? I'm trying to figure out why this is so important to you. Why is this such a big, there's got to be something.
Marriage. And married couples who can't conceive children. There are other ways to be parents, like adoption, for example.
Well, then why can't gay people adopt a kid?
That is such a good question. But then again, yeah, what if they don't want to adopt? What if they just don't want kids?
Well, how about this? He's like, his whole argument against gay marriage is, well, for a marriage, you should be able to procreate children. He goes, yeah, but if you're a heterosexual couple and you can't procreate, well, then what? Well, then you can adopt. Well, then dumb fuck, gay people can't procreate. So why don't they just get married and adopt? I mean, you're a conservative. Wouldn't you rather those two gay men be raising a child in the marital unit rather than
as a
not?
team? Yeah.
Want to. Right. So, but if people want to be married and don't want to ever have children, are you opposed to them being married?
Well, I wouldn't advocate a law that would prevent it.
But would it change the
Why can't these fucking conservatives and liberals just say no to shit?
I know.
Why?
Stop going the long way around.
This is what I hate about guys like Matt Walsh. They're little dorky troll men who can't answer a straight question because they're the fact that you can become an older man and you can be this way surprises the shit out of me. A person who cannot deal with not being right all the time. That's crazy to me. Mm-hmm. As someone who has sat on this show numerous times, argued, yelling with people, and then at the end gone, oh, well, I guess I'm wrong then. I can't fathom this idea of a guy like getting asked a straight question, 3 times by Joe Rogan now.
And it's just, how do you feel?
And he's like, he can't say no because it would somehow, he thinks he's so wrapped up in his own horse shit that he thinks if he says no, it weakens his argument. No, I respect people who can make who can make concessions.
I now know who you are.
Yeah.
Definition of what their marriage is to you because they don't want to have a family. They just want to have a loving bond.
I think this will be a couple that is rejecting one of the fundamental aspects of marriage, and they should be open to life. I would hope that in the future they would.
According to you, Matt.
That's just your ideals.
According to you, again, this guy's a liberal to me. To me, this guy's a progressive because my way, and I got to push it on everybody else, and that's the way it should be. That, to me, that's what we bitch about with these lefties.
Liberal in behavior, spouting conservative ideals.
And not liberal in the sense that it's supposed to mean, which is like free and do what you want, but like how it's become now.
Yeah.
Would be, but
isn't that just a personal choice? I mean,
right.
You can have a very fulfilling life if you just follow your pursuits and your dreams and your interests, and you find someone that shares those interests with you, and you share time together. It's very fulfilling and loving.
Yeah, it's a personal choice, in that I'm not advocating for like a law that says that you if you're married you have to have X number of kids.
But you're judging people. See, that's shitty. He's like, well, I'm getting around this by saying, well, I wouldn't advocate a law. Yeah, but you're definitely judging people, and you're a public figure judging these people. At least admit you're a piece of shit like we are. That's all. Just admit you're a piece of shit.
Right.
But then why are you opposed to two gay people doing that?
Well, because again, it's not about choice. It's about what this institution, marriage is an institution, and what is it, and what purpose does it serve?
So that's interesting. I wouldn't make a law that says two people who can't procreate can't get married. I would make a law that would prevent two gay people from getting married on the basis that they can't procreate. Oh, Matt, you're so stupid.
It's so bad.
This is he literally, instead of just saying no, I wouldn't stop people from getting married, he instead goes, I wouldn't make a law that says two people who can't procreate can't get married. And then, oh yeah, but I would make a law that says gay people can't get married because they can't procreate.
What would he say about step-parents such as myself that maybe marry somebody, but I don't have my own kids now, so am I in a marriage that I shouldn't have been in because I'm not procreating?
You're a piece of shit, according to Matt Walsh, and so am I, because I'm not procreating right now. We got to go procreate real quick. So Matt Walsh would want to come to our wedding.
We have his stamp of approval.
I need the Matt Walsh stamp of approval.
Got it.
Dumb people listen to this horse shit and go like, Matt Walsh is my guy. Don't do that. Don't have heroes. Don't make us heroes. We're just bullshitting with you 4 hours a day.
And I do not agree with tearing down or changing this definition, especially because the people who have changed the definition haven't come up with a new one. So they say, well, that's not what marriage is. So for thousands of years, we said
they said marriage is a bond between two people who love each other. That's all it is.
That is all it is. It actually has nothing to do with like procreation. It's just that's, like you said, it's a religious ideal.
300 years ago, even 200 years ago, marriage was a political arrangement to unite houses and form political power. We changed that, Matty boy.
Marriage is the procreative union. And then we had the other side that came along and said, well, it's not that. Okay, well then, like, what is it exactly?
Two people who love each other.
It's people who love each other. Two people who love each other. Well, but then, why two people? Why do they have to love each other? All these kinds of questions. You get into what if they're in the same family? What if brothers and sisters?
Hey, weirdo! These are questions you're asking.
Yeah, he just went off the deep end and exposed himself.
None of us are asking this. There's nowhere on the ballot where incest is being promoted. There's nowhere. This is your dark. I'm telling you, there's something in this guy that if you don't, you don't have to dig too far. Something's fucked up with Matty Walsh.
Ideas don't just come like that to people. Like, I don't sit here thinking, oh, well, why am I not able to marry my brother?
Yeah, this guy's fucked up. Because again, he's the one thinking this.
Right.
Want to marry. And I know every time that comes up, the advocates for gay marriage will say, well, that's a slippery slope argument. That's a fallacious. But it's actually not. It's like we're trying to get to what do you even think this institution is now, since you've rejected out what we were saying it was. And
but wait a minute. You just said what they think it was, and then you tried to debunk it by saying, well, what about incest then? No. You didn't debunk their argument. This is a bullshit thing guys like him do, these hustlers, these political hustlers do, these political grifters. They do this thing where they go, oh, well, they say it in a goofy voice, and then they make a wild comparison and go, well, I can move on now. I debunked that.
Oh, what about this wild, crazy thing?
Yeah, no, you didn't debunk shit. He's like, Well, then they said, well, our definition is two people who love each other. Oh, well, what about incest then? All right, moving on. I owned that argument. No, you just made yourself look creepy. You didn't own shit. You actually made their point for them.
What about an old person, like a pedophile and a kid?
Yeah, right.
That's exactly a Matt Walsh argument.
It's a Matt Walsh argument to try and own the two people who love each other. Hey, Matt, for a lot of people, you know what marriage is? It's two people who love each other but want a nice little tax agreement.
Oh my God, how many times have you heard that?
Yeah, people
that just don't care about the marriage part,
but they're like, we love each other.
But it makes sense for the money stuff. Why not?
I've never found a compelling definition. And any definition offered, it's like, well, what's even the point then? Why do we even need this now?
I just don't see how a gay marriage in any way damages a straight marriage.
Right.
I don't see it at all. It doesn't make any sense to me. It just seems to me that people want to.
By the way, this is what happens when someone like Matt Walsh runs into someone who doesn't just buy his bullshit.
Yeah.
It's just a guy goes, okay, but wait, you're not selling me. Like Joe's he's not even being difficult. He's going, nothing you've just said addresses what I said.
Well, and also, like, I'm sure Matt might say something like, well, if the gay people aren't marrying each other, they could be marrying into a heterosexual marriage and then reproducing.
Yeah, that works out really well.
Most gay people are not likely to marry the opposite sex. No. I don't know if you know this.
Look, if you wanted to look at logic, especially in our modern society, which is pretty fucked when it comes to relationships, it's somewhere in the neighborhood of 50% of all marriages end in divorce anyway. They don't make it. You know, I don't know if anything would damage marriage and damage the institution of marriage is the option of divorce. I don't think gay people getting married in any way, shape, or form changes a bond that you have with your wife.
Right.
It's just called marriage. It's a human.
We have a man being stark, raving reasonable, and then we have another man who's trying to impose something on trying to sell everyone a product.
Look how calm Joe is.
You know what really made me start hating Matt Walsh? Was people started showing up to his Q&As, and they would ask him a very simple question. Ben Shapiro had just made a comment about Jesus, and Matt Walsh works for Ben Shapiro. And Ben Shapiro went on Rogan's podcast, and he said, I think Jesus was a person who tried to lead a rebellion against the government and got killed for his trouble. Saying like he's not divine in any way, blah, 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 and that. And that offended a lot of Christians. So they went to Matt Walsh's thing. They go, what do you think about him saying that? You say you're a big Christian because he's a big Christian guy.
Yes.
Your boss basically shit on your savior and said he was nothing more than a rebel who got killed for his trouble. What do you think about that? And Matt Walsh tried to spin it as, oh, I get it. So if I don't, so just because he's Jewish, I can't work for him. He tried to spin it that way. And it's like, you disingenuous.
Of course.
You snake oil selling sack of shit. I hate that because he thinks he's making good snarky arguments, but everyone just walks away from it going, you're dumb. You're just kind of a dumb guy.
Invented thing. If we decide that gay people can get married too, I just don't see how it damages anything. I don't think it tears down the definition of marriage in any way.
Right,
it
you're
just
not
opens
selling
up the possibility
Joe on this.
that people who are gay won't be discriminated against.
Yeah, I don't think that a gay couple existing directly impacts. You know, there's a gay couple and wherever, and I'm with my wife in our house. Like obviously, there's not. But I'm not talking about on the individual level. I'm talking about on the societal level.
Right.
I would agree that
I thought we were individuals though.
Yeah.
Like I thought we were all free individuals and there shouldn't be this. That's his whole argument with like liberals and stuff. Is that like, no, we need to respect the individual and their rights and everything else until it conflicts with your religion. Unless, of course, that's your boss shitting on your religion, then you're fine with it. Like that's my problem with these guys. It's all about being right. It's not about being consistent. It's not about having a worldview. It's just I have to be right.
How can I win this one?
How can I win?
Divorce, especially this no-fault divorce, rampant divorce. I don't think it's as high as 50%. I know that's often quoted. I'm not sure.
I love that. This is Matt Walsh to a T. I'll get a fact. I don't like the fact. I'll just ignore it.
I don't think it's that high. No, it actually is.
Yeah. Sorry, Matt. I don't really lean on your counting skills. You're the one who said there were 1 million kids taking puberty blockers and the number was about $5,000. So I'm sorry, Matt. I don't know if your data is that great. Again, this is what happens when you marry yourself to a position you're not able to say you're wrong. Matt Walsh should be a cautionary tale for everyone watching this, liberal or conservative.
Comes from, but it is high. It's like it's too high. And
Chris Rock has a great joke about that. He said those are just the people with the courage to get out. It's like how many cowards stay.
That's the truth, though.
It's also true that the advocates for what we call now traditional marriage, which I just call marriage, but the advocates for traditional marriage
over here.
What happened
put
in
themselves at a
nuclear
disadvantage
marriage?
by especially in the churches, like allowing this rampant divorce to occur. And then you've already.
April, I think if we started beheading some of these whores who are trying to escape their good old fashioned husbands, we could stop a lot of this.
Don't you, though?
Jesus.
Sort of.
I'm kidding, YouTube. It's a joke.
Can you imagine, Matt, how many like angry, bitter people might sit out there and snap someday because they're sitting in the wrong marriage?
Yeah.
And having
Matt doesn't
moved
care
on to something.
as long as he's happy and he's right.
Right.
Given up on some marriage is supposed to be monogamous and permanent, as well as procreative. Well, you've given up monogamy and permanence, and so now it's not. That's two of the three legs gone. And
Wait,
so now
who's given up monogamy?
I don't know. He's just grasping at straws.
I don't know about you, April, but if you went outside of our marriage, I'd be very upset.
I hear you. Yep.
Yeah.
I think I've voiced my opinions the other way.
Yes. Matt, I don't. Again, this is a guy who just makes shit up so he doesn't have to be wrong.
And I don't like that he keeps throwing the procreation thing in there too. Like that's like a prerequisite of being married. Like I don't know where that came from.
Quit making me defend gay people, Matt. You're softening my image.
Now this assault was waged on the procreative part of it, and it was difficult to withstand it because the institution had already been weakened. So I agree with you there.
That's not what he said.
Nope.
But my answer to that is to try to reinforce what marriage is, not to just give up on it.
Oh, that's
entirely.
what Joe's
And
doing.
I
Joe's
still think
giving up.
You're left with this question of
how are you giving up on something by expanding it to more people?
I don't know.
I own McDonald's. I'm going to expand to more diverse neighborhoods. Why are you giving up on McDonald's? Piece of shit, apparently.
like if marriage is not what I'm saying it is, then why do we even need it? What's the point? I mean, you're saying it's a man-made institution.
Yes.
But you're also like the way that you're presenting it. It's a totally meaningless institution. So
No.
they don't need it at all.
He's having problems.
Yep.
He's talked himself into the loop and he can't get out of the loop now and he's bombing terribly. And all Joe's doing is being very calm and going, I'm not buying your bullshit. What about this? And he doesn't have bullshit for it. He's a bullshit salesman who's run out of product at this point.
And Joe has so many like different options. Like, oh, what about these ones?
No, it's not meaningless. It's because it means something to the people that get married.
The individual.
So it's just a subjective, symbolic thing. I mean, what?
Why can't it be? Why can't it mean whatever it wants to the people who are doing it? Why does it have to be any of your fucking business, Matt? Why can't the marriage just be what the people in the marriage want it to be? Why do they have to conform to Matt Walsh's rules? What if they think Matt Walsh is kind of virgin-y, dork, dickhead kind of guy?
Seems that way.
And they don't want to be like Matt Walsh. Matt, I got bad news. I don't want to be like you. You probably don't want to be like me. But I'm not sitting on a podcast telling people that Matt Walsh should be more like me. I'm saying he should just be less like Matt Walsh.
Yeah.
So if you're
kind of what it is, look, there's a massive responsibility when you're married and when you have children to keep your family together and you raise and keep everybody happy and healthy. And there's great reward to that.
Yeah.
But it doesn't always work out. It's right.
We're
people
humans.
change.
We're fallible.
People are fucked up. It doesn't always work. And so I don't think it should be outlawed because 50% of the people fall apart. Just like I don't think it has any effect whatsoever on a straight couple if a gay couple decides that they want to make it official. And that's what it is to them. It gives them a feeling that they're accepted and appreciated and that they're not discriminated against because they happen to be homosexual.
I want to watch his response to this, and then we're out of time for today, and we'll have to wrap up.
Okay.
I want to see how he gets around that because that wasn't liberal, that wasn't conservative.
It's just very well put in human.
Very common sense.
So what you're articulating to me is the damage that's done by gay marriage to the institution of marriage.
But how is it done? How is that in any way damaged straight people?
Because we are making the institution meaningless.
But it's not meaningless.
Well, but you just
It's not. Joe just laid out why it's not meaningless. Again, I'm telling you, he's run out of bullshit.
I'll tell you, it's
and he's just repeat. He's a What do you call? He's a malfunctioning robot. He's just spitting out the
He's
same
stuck in
line.
the same track.
Yeah.
No, what I'm getting out of him is that basically if you're not reproducing in your marriage, it's meaningless.
And he doesn't want to just come out and say that.
No, he doesn't because he thinks
There's too many loopholes.
It's too hard.
Yeah.
It's too
It's
hard
full
of a
to the
line.
people that
But
have it.
subjective, symbolic, and it's about your own personal feelings.
Isn't it, though?
Yes! There's nothing wrong with that, Matt. You know what we call that, Mr. Conservative? Individual liberty.
Mm-hmm.
That's freedom. You get to make it whatever you want to. Oh, God. You got to find a new spokesman, guys. This guy he is a problem.
He's failing.
And there's also something going on up here. The wiring ain't right with this fella. The wiring is not right with this Matt Walsh. Jeff saying he just TKO'd him right there. Yeah, it's... Balls Deep says, marriage is conglomerating two corporations. Facts, in a way. Cordless says, Aaron, your point on this is nothing. You're doing this because you talking about Rogan. You're praying it will get you clicks on YouTube. You're just as guilty and as bad as the rest of the lol cows. I mean, should I not talk about people then? I don't really understand, Cordless.
You're talking about Aaron right now.
Yeah,
You just don't have a show to put it on.
Yeah, I guess I mean, I talk about popular people because it will reach a large group of people who will know what I'm talking about and hopefully enjoy my take on it. Yeah, I guess so. If that makes me one of the lol cows there, Cordless, moo.